Welcome back. This is Fables Adventures, your podcast of daily audio stories. Today's story comes to us from our community feed and one of our community creators who goes by the creator name Susie Smidge. We are always happy to feature stories from our community creators right here on our podcast, and this is the second story that we have featured from this creator so far. We thank everyone for their contributions to the feed. If you want to have your story featured, download the Fables Adventure app from the link in the description. The story today is entitled The Forgetting, and it's a good one. Hit like, subscribe to our channel, or comment as to what you're enjoying about our stories here. For now, enjoy The Forgetting.
You're standing in the Library of Alexandria at 3 a.m., and you're pretending you don't know what this means. The air sits on your shoulders like wet wool, that specific weight that only exists when the world is supposed to be sleeping but isn't, when it's holding its breath. Around you, the shelves rise like teeth. 10,000 scrolls, maybe more, maybe less now. Maybe that number's already a ghost. Your hands shake as you reach for the next scroll, not from fear. You don't do fear anymore. You did that already, back in 2247, when you first realized the job would break you into smaller and smaller pieces. No, this is something else. This is the tremor of a body remembering what it means to matter. Jordan finds you there, naturally. Jordan always finds you. You're doing it again, Jordan says, and there's that edge in their voice, the one that sounds like love but tastes like copper. The thing where you forget that you're supposed to be resting. Can't rest, you tell them. Your tongue feels thick. Wrong. When you open your mouth to speak Coptic, the dialect you've been using all day to interview the temple priests, nothing comes out but a strangled approximation. A mockery. Something's happening. My language thing. It's like trying to remember a dream you had 5 minutes ago. Jordan's face does that thing, that specific compression of the jaw that means they're not going to say "I told you so," because they already have, 17 times, and they're too tired for the 18th. How bad? They ask instead. Intermediate Coptic is fine, the liturgical stuff, but the colloquial, the street dialects, the marginalized community's linguistic patterns, it's like watching a photograph fade in real time. I can see it happening. I can watch it disappear, and I can't. You stop, swallow. Your mouth tastes like old coins, like Alexandria tastes, salt copper smoke. I can't stop it. This is when you should feel something. This is the moment where fear should arrive like a second shadow. But you're numb, that defiant, almost aggressive numbness that you've worn like armor since you volunteered for this assignment. The numbness that says, I knew this would hurt, and I'm going anyway, so watch me. Except Jordan is watching you, and suddenly that numbness doesn't feel like armor anymore. It feels like a scar you're picking at in the dark. The scrolls in the secondary collection, you say, and your voice comes out steady. That's the performance you've perfected. The ones hidden in the Serapeum's lower chambers. We need to get them documented before what? Jordan steps closer, and you can smell the oil they use to clean the recording equipment, that fluorescent sharp scent that means they've been working for hours. Before your linguistic mastery fails completely, before the religious fervor burns everything, before we run out of time. Yes, you say, all of that, all at once, now. Jordan pulls out the portable recording device, a sleek, impossible thing that looks like a piece of midnight in their hands. In the 4th century, it's practically magic. To you, it's just another broken clock that somehow still keeps time, still ticks, still measures the hours you have left. I recorded something today, Jordan says quietly. A woman named Miriam. She was a scribe, like you. Well, like the you that exists in this time. She said something that made me stop recording. What? You're already moving toward the restricted section, the part of the library where the really dangerous knowledge lives, the kind that gets you killed, the kind that gets forgotten on purpose. She said, the most dangerous thing about knowledge is that someone has to choose to keep it, not preserve it, not document it. Choose it. Every single day, she said, someone has to choose that it matters enough to remember. You hate when Jordan does this. You hate it because it works. You hate it because you're already choosing it, and you'll keep choosing it, even as your extraordinary ability fractures like old glass, even as your linguistic mastery, the thing that makes you you in this timeline, becomes less a gift and more a ghost that visits less frequently. The lower chambers of the Serapeum are where the forbidden texts live, the ones that contradict the emerging religious orthodoxy, the ones that preserve the voices of the colonized, the enslaved, the erased, the ones that someone, somewhere, has decided must burn. The stone is cold under your palms as you navigate by touch and memory. Your eyes haven't adjusted to the darkness because you've learned not to waste time on adaptation. There's no time for adaptation. There's only action and consequence, and the desperate arithmetic of how many stories you can save before the forgetting completes itself. When you find the main collection, the secret archive that the librarians hid from the temple authorities, you stop moving. Your lungs stop working. Your heart does something complicated and specific. There are thousands of scrolls, carefully preserved, written in languages that are already dying, in dialects that will be completely extinct within 50 years. Sumerian fragments, Nubian oral histories rendered into text, the writings of women philosophers whose names history will never learn, the medical knowledge of African healers, the engineering principles of enslaved peoples, the proof that the margins contained multitudes, and you're supposed to save it, all of it, with a gift that's failing. How long do you think we have? Jordan asks behind you, and there's something different in their voice now. Not hope. You're both too smart for hope. But something like recognition, like they're seeing you clearly, finally, and deciding that you're worth witnessing. Until my ability completely fails? You pick up the nearest scroll, and it weighs almost nothing, lighter than a whisper. Maybe 6 hours, maybe less. My Greek is solid still, but the older dialects, the ones that only a handful of people in this era actually speak. Then we don't try to save everything, Jordan says, and when you turn to look at them, they're holding up the recording device. We save what we can, we document what we can, and we let the rest teach us what it means to accept that we're not gods. This is when you feel it, the shift from numbness to something rawer, something that looks like tenderness but fights against it, something that accepts its own powerlessness while refusing to be broken by it. That's not how this works, you tell them. That's not how I work. No, Jordan agrees. But maybe it's how we work, you and me, together. We document what we can reach. We make choices about what matters most, and we live with the fact that it's not enough. We live with that, and we choose it anyway. You want to argue. You want to explain that this is a failure of the mission, a betrayal of every voiceless person in Alexandria whose story you swore you'd preserve. But when you open your mouth to protest in Aramaic, the dialect of the marginalized communities you promised to center, nothing comes out but a croak, a failure, a breaking. So instead, you hand Jordan the first scroll. The women's medical texts, you say in English, the language of your own time, the language that means, I'm giving up and trying something different. Start there, We'll work systematically. Whatever we can reach before dawn, whatever we can document, that becomes what survives. Jordan takes the scroll with both hands, and when they do, your fingers brush. That skin memory of touch, the one that lives in the space between contact and absence, the one that means you are not alone in this, even though you are completely alone. You work through the remaining hours before dawn. Your linguistic mastery continues its mysterious dissolution. Sometimes you can speak fluently. Sometimes you can only approximate meaning through gesture and fragmented syntax. It's maddening. It's humbling. It's forcing you to discover that you're less special than you thought, and more necessary. By the time the sun begins its suggestion of arrival, you've documented 43 scrolls, 43 stories, 43 windows into a knowledge that will mostly vanish, despite your effort, despite your gift, despite your desperate, defiant choosing. When Jordan finally looks up from the recording device, they're crying, though neither of you mentions it. "We did something," Jordan says. "We did almost nothing," you correct them. "Yes," Jordan says, "we did, and it still matters." And here's where the twist arrives, not like a thunderclap, but like a watch ticking differently, still broken, still fractured, but somehow still keeping better time. 3 weeks later, back in 2247, when you're debriefing with the Temporal Archives Administration, they tell you something that makes your carefully constructed narrative collapse. Your linguistic mastery didn't fail. The archives caused it, deliberately suppressing your ability during critical moments. Not to test you, not to break you, but because your team's research was revealing something that the official historical record needed to keep hidden, that the Library of Alexandria wasn't destroyed by external forces, but systematically dismantled by early archives operatives who believed certain knowledge was too dangerous to exist in any timeline. The archives has been erasing the erasure. They've been preserving the official lie that lets them control which histories survive and which vanish. You're supposed to feel betrayed. You're supposed to feel used. But what you actually feel is that hardened tenderness, the acceptance that still fights itself. Because now you understand, 43 scrolls documented in the darkness of the Serapeum wasn't almost nothing. It was resistance. It was choosing knowledge when the most powerful forces in time itself were betting against you. It was the most dangerous thing about memory, that someone chose it. You chose it, and Jordan saw you do it. The broken clock still ticks. It will always tick, and that, somehow, is enough.
Thanks for listening to our story today. Our stories at Fables Adventures are created using the Fables Adventures app for iOS, available for both the iPhone and the iPad. And if you have enjoyed the story that you have just heard and want to create stories like this of your own, head over to the Apple App Store and download the app for yourself. There is a link in the description. You can also read the full text of the story that you have just heard at the link in the description of this story as well. Hit like, subscribe to our channel, and please leave us a comment about what you enjoyed about today's story. It really helps. We're trying to do something here at Fables Adventures to support people living with ALS or motor neuron disease, simply by creating content like this for you all to enjoy. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you tomorrow.